Someone You Should Know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sachs.
Well, good morning and welcome to another edition of Someone You Should Know, live and without limits on KVGI Radio here in beautiful Frisco, Texas. I have a great guest with me this morning, and you know that KVGI has a soft spot for our veterans and veteran organizations, and we got the creme de la creme with us this morning. I have as my guest Paul Hendricks. Welcome, Paul.
And good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Paul, you are with the Veterans Center of North Texas, and for those that are not in North Texas, I don't want you to turn off your radio right now and say, oh, well, he's with North Texas, so it doesn't involve me. What Paul does with our veterans and for our veterans is something that can be absorbed nationwide, in fact, probably even worldwide. You are the director and the president of the organization. It's how old is the organization?
So, Stuart, we are in our 6th year of operation.
6th year.
As a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
That in itself, I mean, that's a short time, really, considering the history that we have with our veterans and the need that there is for our veterans to find out the benefits that they are entitled to. But you and your staff, which are completely volunteers, are there to help veterans in almost any way possible.
Absolutely.
And your physical location is in Plano?
So we are located at 900 East Park Boulevard, Plano, Texas. We are in suite number 155.
Okay.
And
so
the reason we're in
tollway?
No, we're right off of Highway 75.
75. Okay.
Just east of 75, about a mile and a half.
Okay.
Near the DART station for those that know the area.
Right. That and you've been with them since day one?
I am the founder of the organization.
Very good. So you're the big cheese.
Well,
the buck stops with you, as they say.
Well, that's true. But let me tell you, it takes a ton of folks to do the job and do the job correctly. And like you said, Stuart, we're all volunteers. So we're there for one thing and one thing only, and that's to serve our veterans in our community.
And you have an advantage because you are a veteran. In fact, the military was your career. Basically.
That's correct.
You're Air Force?
I'm retired from the Air Force 20 years, but I'm also retired from the Boeing Company 21 years on top of that.
Wow. So
I've got 2 careers that have helped me get to where I am today.
And I asked you before we went on air, where are you from? And you said, well, you and your wife are originally from Southern California, but being in the military, we know that like that old Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man. And so you've had addresses longer than your arm, probably.
Well, so I joined the Air Force. I got drafted and ended up going into the Air Force in 1970.
Okay.
And after 20 years, I believe we moved 15 or 16 times during that period of time, back and forth across the country. And then I've had a few trips around the world, but mostly the biggest percentage of my time while I was in the Air Force was in Texas, in a variety of cities.
Excellent. 1970, that was the year that I returned. I was in the Army. I was an Army officer, and I returned from Vietnam in 1970. Yep. And so you were just going in. You had your training in 70. So as you were getting more and more into the military, that was kind of the wind down period from the Vietnam conflict.
That's correct. Now my career is kind of interesting in the fact that I had no intention of going in the military at all, and so I kind of drug my heels while I was in college, and lo and behold, the draft got me, the lottery got me, and so I finally decided to graduate from college and go in. Actually, I was drafted in the Army, and I decided that wasn't for me. Went in the Air Force, and Vietnam was still going strong.
Right. And
actually, my career, the highlight of my career, probably was the end of the Vietnam War. I was involved with B-52s, B-52D bombers, and flew out of Guam and Utapao, Thailand, to North Vietnam, over Hanoi in the Christmas raids of 1972. So that was kind of a big moment for me and the other folks in my area. And we feel like we were a major part of trying to stabilize and become the end of the war in Vietnam. And shortly thereafter, we did have a peace agreement with Vietnam, and went forward from that point.
Very good. And you spent most of your time on bombers. I think not only were you at all involved in any of the evacuation of our troops from Vietnam?
No, my duties at the so I was out of Utapao, Thailand.
Okay.
72, 73, and then again 75 in some peacekeeping operations there. So I wasn't involved in any of the evacuations. I do know a lot of folks that were involved. I've met quite a few of what's called the Vietnamese boat people,
right,
which are just superior patriots to our country. They just love the opportunities they have here. But so following about 1976, I left flying and got a master's degree in engineering. My bachelor's was engineering. And then went to work in the intelligence and acquisition community. Worked there for until towards the end of my career. And then I had a requirement to go back and do flying. So I got involved in the B-1B development program. So I hadn't flown an airplane for lots of years. Then I got involved in the development program of the B-1B before it started reflying again. You know, President Carter had canceled it, and then President Reagan had reinstated it back in, what was that, 1982. I think he decided to bring the program forward again. So I worked on the B-1 program from 82 to 90 at a couple of places. I was at Edwards Air Force Base in California, where all of the Air Force development programs, flying programs happen. And then my last assignment was in Abilene, Texas at Dice Air Force Base. And I was responsible to bring the first B-1 bomber to Abilene, which was kind of exciting. And then we carried on the operational testing there until I retired in 90, and that's when the aircraft was considered suitable for operation. And it's been operational since 1986. So it's now an old airplane.
So after a 20-year career in the Air Force, and then you said another 20-year career in the private sector, but still dealing with airplanes and all. Was there a moment where you said, "Okay, I've had it with military type stuff, and I'm just going to retire and just lay back and read books"? And did you do that, or did you say, "You know what"? Was it at that point that there was that window that said, "You know, I see a lot of veterans out there, and they need some help, and I think I'd like to move in that direction"?
Well, you know, I'd like to say that's what happened to me, but it really didn't. So I retired from the Boeing Company in 2011, and I was going to do the things that I always wanted to do, like, you know, do the housework and, you know, all the fix-up stuff and all the million things on the list that you never do.
Right.
And
you mean the million things on the list that your wife wrote down for you to do?
That's right. But what really happened was after about 6 months, I got just bored. And that list is still there, and it's getting longer, by the way.
You're preaching to the choir here.
But so I just felt as though I needed to get involved in some activities. I'm kind of a people person, having worked in two major organizations with a lot of communication and coordination over the years. So I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I ran for an office in the town that I live in, was elected as a council person, and lo and behold, I started seeing a different aspect of our community that I hadn't noticed before, and that was the veteran community. Remember, this is 2011, 2012 time frame.
Right.
And there was seemed to be a pretty big uprising that a lot of veterans just didn't know what to do and where to go and how to find suitable services. So a couple guys got together, and we tried to take a look at what was really going on in our community. And we put together some thoughts, and somebody had a connection with the Bush Institute down in the SMU area there.
Right.
So we had been putting our plan together, what we thought was good to do, and how we wanted to do a business model. And we went down and talked to the Bush Institute, which deals with a tremendous amount of military, veteran-type activities, world situations. And we indicated, here's what our business model looks like. And the primary reason we're here is because we have found through our community investigations that there's just a tremendous amount of veterans and their families that don't know where to turn to for help.
Well, this is also a time, you're saying around 2011, 2012. Now we are not only dealing with our generation, those Vietnam veterans that are approaching the golden years of their life, and some of them have been successful and they're set, but there are so many of them that are still living day to day. Some under bridges, some of them are homeless, some of them have aged out of their careers and they have no place to turn. Now flip the page and you've got our returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan and the current war situations. Now the Veterans Administration and the veterans scene is becoming overloaded with veterans that need some from the previous wars and now from and I can understand how it can be absolutely mind-boggling for that veteran who returns. I'll give you an example. When in World War II they called it shell shock.
That's right.
And then after Vietnam they started calling it post-traumatic stress and all. That is still with us. I believe in my heart that there are a lot of veterans that are returning now who have great skills and want to use those skills in the working community. But the image of our returning veterans sometimes is maybe they are loose cannons. And because of that, sometimes it makes it difficult for that veteran to get that opportunity. And so I can see where your organization becomes that catalyst. It becomes that opportunity for them to say, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm willing to work 8 hours a day or more and all. And I have done this and done that, and I'd like to do it instead of flipping burgers.
Absolutely.
And we have an obligation as a nation to take care of our veterans. And the Veterans Administration, sometimes they just get overwired. And they just can't handle it. I had a personal situation with them where I kept being put off to see a doctor. Ultimately, went into the private sector to see a doctor and was diagnosed with prostate cancer. If I had waited for my appointment to come around in the VA, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I'm one example. That happens in a broader sense all over the country where veterans, some of them say, I don't care. I just want to spend my day at the bar and my nights under a bridge. But there's opportunities for them.
Absolutely.
And they have a skill set, because one thing I've learned over my years is that veterans take care of each other.
Absolutely.
And they watch each other's back. And boy, you put them into a corporate situation and they know what teamwork is all about. And it's something that I think more and more employers are starting to see the value of our veterans, and it's good to know. And I hope that there may be some veterans out there that are in menial jobs right now that are listening and saying, you know what, this may be my next step to a better career. But beyond that, there's wives, there's moms and dads and grandparents out there that say, I've got a veteran in my family. And, they keep reaching out for help and they don't seem to get anywhere. They can call you.
Absolutely.
Call your organization. Where do they call? How do they get in touch with you?
Okay. So
get out a piece of paper and a pencil and write this down.
Absolutely. So our phone number is 214-600-2966. That's 214-600-2966. And we are open Monday through Friday. We have a brick and mortar operation. And I'll give that address again. We're open from 9 until 4:30 Monday through Friday. And we do work on the weekends if need be, or after hours if we need, because some folks have things they need to do. We also can be reached on our email, veterans.vcont.
VCONT, which is Vietnam Centers of North Texas.
Veterans Center of North
Yes.
Texas.org.
Right.
.org. And we would be extremely happy to help and assist. Stuart, if I can talk a little bit here.
Sure.
Our office is located in Plano, Texas. It is the lowest cost office that we could find, but we serve 7 counties in Texas directly.
Wow.
Collin, Grayson, Cook, Hunt, Fannin, Rockwall, and Kaufman counties. In that area, there's over 160,000 veterans. Now, we would enjoy talking to each and every one of them as they need be. We'd like to talk to people before there's an issue, so the issue doesn't fester up and become a major problem. Let them know what benefits and services are available, either through the government or through the community, and I can talk more about that. But in addition to our service area, we also work actually around the nation. People somehow find us. We've had cases in Oregon, in Arizona, in Missouri, and New York, and Florida.
Excellent.
How folks find us, I don't know, but we just love to help them get connected to the resources and benefits that are available. And so we would welcome a call from anybody, anytime, and we will roll up our sleeves and go to work for them.
That you can go to Veterans Center of North Texas.org and find a myriad of information, because that's where I got a lot of my information about what you do. And keep in mind that whether you are living in Oregon or Florida or the Midwest or the Southeast, the benefits for our veterans are the same no matter where you live. Right. You don't have to be in Texas in order to take advantage of those benefits. But the most important thing, I think, is the word connection. It's making sure that those that want are connected with those who have.
Absolutely.
And that's the important part of it. And I'll even go a step further and do a little bit of grandstanding for you. I think that if there are veterans that are listening, or you have a veteran in your family and says he's got a good job and he likes to work with veterans, I believe I'm safe in saying that there's opportunities for volunteering with your organization too to help other veterans.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So the way we work on our volunteer staff, and we're all volunteers, top to bottom, is we find a volunteer, we do a intake on them to be sure we know who the volunteer is, and then we do on-the-job training as well as book training, and then we will put them on the schedule 4 hours a week. And they're always with another teammate that's got a lot of experience. And from that point on, as long as they're happy doing the job, we are happy to have them. We can always use more volunteers. Never an issue of being too crowded, because that just doesn't work that way. So 4 hours a week is all we're looking for. A lot of people have that time available. Most of our folks are retired. Some of them are working, and they have 4 hours a week to give, and we just enjoy having them. You don't have to be a veteran. We have about 80% of the folks are veterans, 20% are not. We have wives of veterans, spouses of veterans.
Excellent.
That just like to come in and work, or someone that has a distant veteran in their family. They say, we just love what you're doing. Please come volunteer, and we just enjoy having them with us. And the interesting thing, Stuart, is they're always saying, can I have another shift? This is people that don't get paid. Can I have another shift? And we're happy to say, yeah, we'll let you do that.
Well, it's a win-win. It's a win for the veterans, but it's also a win for the person that says, I'm here helping veterans. And boy, when they find that veteran is connected with a new job, a new place to live, and all, that's going to make that volunteer feel that they're worthwhile too.
Absolutely.
It's a great program, and again, to think that your program is 7 years old.
6 years old. That's right.
I applaud you and your staff for what you do, and most of all, why you're doing it, because that's an extremely important part of it. You have a staff of about how many are involved?
So we have 38 volunteers.
Oh,
including our board, and the board's all
incredible.
volunteers, and they work just like clockwork. And if something happens, they can't be there. I mean, they're all apologetic, and we say thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. And so it's just and some people just want to work multiple shifts, and we encourage that. But our goal is to serve veterans and not burn out our volunteers.
Well, and because you have that number, then those that don't feel like they're overwhelmed and overworked and overstressed.
No.
Because just in case they get ill or an appointment comes up, they've got somebody, as we say in the military, that's got your back.
Absolutely.
And helps out in that way. It's a great organization, folks. Make sure you go online and get all the particulars. That's probably the best place to start. Is at the Veteran Center of North Texas.org. And all that way you can see the people that are involved. You can see the programs, because there's just a wide range of things, from maybe financial assistance to legal assistance to housing assistance. I don't think there's anything. You must have a huge desk with all kinds of files in it, in order to help our veterans. And it's a great program.
Well, we really enjoy doing it, and it's just something that we look forward to every day.
Yeah. We're going to pause for a break. We have to take care of some business here at the station, and then we'll come back and we will talk more with Paul Hendricks, who is the director and president of the Veteran Center of North Texas, and someone you should know.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just...
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Someone you should know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sachs.
And we are back live in the studio with Paul Hendricks, who is the director and president of the Veterans Center of North Texas. And as we always do, while those of you that are listening to us on your computers or on your mobile apps, you were listening to some commercials. Those that were watching us via Facebook and YouTube, you just saw graphics up there on the screen. But we don't stop talking. we kept talking through the whole thing. And I have mentioned in the past that I had some medical issues over the years, and I'm a cancer survivor. And Paul was just saying to me, do you think that there's a possibility that you may have been exposed to Agent Orange? And you know, having worked in an ammo depot, it is a possibility, but I never gave it that much thought. I mean, I was fortunate, and in South Florida, I used the VA quite a bit. When we retired, moved here to Texas, retired, I didn't really reconnect that well and never gave it a thought. And you said, you know, it doesn't cost anything to do it. And I never gave it that much thought because my thoughts are always with those veterans who are living day to day. My feeling is they're the ones that need the financial help, the medical help. They're the ones that need the screenings. They're the ones that need the employment. They need the legal advice. You know, I'm okay. I'll step aside and let them take my place in line. But you know, you bring up a point. All veterans have the opportunity to see. You know, you may have no benefits, but there's a possibility there may be. And unless you say, I got all the money in the world that I need and I don't need any more, and if there is a military benefit that'll put another check in the mail to me, I don't need it. You know, it's probably a good idea for me to follow it up. And I thank you for that suggestion.
So a couple of things, Stuart, and to our listeners here, if there's always concerns with our veterans, like they'll say, well, I didn't hold a rifle, I didn't have a combat role, so am I a veteran? And of course the answer is yes, you are a veteran. If you have served a minimum amount of time in the active duty, you're a veteran. The Guard and the Reserve also, if they've had active duty time, they are veterans, and they are eligible for a certain number of benefits. We always ask our veterans when they first come in to meet us, number one, are they registered with the VA? And many people will come in and say, you know, I really don't have an issue that I need to have addressed with the VA. Well, the VA would like to get you registered because they would like to know where you are. They get their funding with the number of veterans in the community.
That's right.
So they'd like to have you registered. So you take your DD-214, and you can go to the easiest place is take it to the Dallas VA hospital down in Lancaster and get registered. And then they'll make a determination on the benefits that they might have available for you. They're going to always be thinking about medical benefits because it's a hospital. But the VA, VA is a broad, vast agency with tons of different activities associated with it, and that's a study in and of itself. But the three major areas that we like to talk about would be the hospital, which is for medical benefits, which most people think about. There's also the claims office that would provide disability payments if you qualify for that, and you apply for that. You can actually go online to ebenefits.com and do that yourself if you like. We recommend that you see, in Texas here anyway, a county veteran service officer. There's two of them located in Plano. There's about 6 or 7 of those claims officers located in Denton. There's another one up in Sherman, and they're spread across the county, or the counties in Texas. Any county that has at least 250,000 residents by legislative action is required to have a veteran service officer. Some counties have more than others. So
is this nationwide?
The veteran service officers are nationwide. I don't know about the regulations in other states.
Oh, okay.
But there's something equivalent to that. I just can't speak outside of Texas.
Yeah.
So health benefits are through the VA hospital and the clinics that are available. The VSOs or DAV or VFWs also have the ability to hear a claim and put that into the system. All claims eventually go to Waco here in Texas, and that's where they get processed by the VA, and then they'll make a determination. And sometimes that takes a while to happen, depending on your circumstances. And the third thing, and again, there's lots and lots of different elements of the VA, but the third one that we run into most often are the cemetery benefits. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but sooner or later that's going to happen.
That's right.
And we'd like to talk about end of life.
We all have an expiration date.
Yeah, we just don't know when that is. We
That's
can't
right.
turn the can over and look at it because with the date. But we try to encourage our veterans to think about that, either if they're young or old, especially their families need to know about it. And the death benefit is,
and just going along with that,
now,
make sure most veterans have a copy of their DD-214, but make sure you have a copy or extra copies available for your wife and your family, because if there's ever a need for them to get any benefits for you, that's the most important piece of paper that they can own.
So I have some recommendations on that, and you're exactly right. It's as important as your birth certificate. If you don't have a DD-214 and you were discharged from the military, we can help you in our office. The VA can help you. I mean, or you can go on ebenefits.com and order your own DD-214, and it'll be delivered to you. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to get it. We recommend the following. Get your DD-214, make a ton of copies of it, put it in a safety deposit box in your special hiding places and that sort of thing, but also go to your county clerk. So in Denton County, go to your Denton County clerk.
Okay.
Collin County, go to the Collin County clerk, and they will store it for you in a secure area for 75 years. So when that chaotic time in your life happens, no one can find anything, that's just the way it is. They'll know they can go to the county clerk and get a copy of your DD-214. It's really important for death benefits, for any kind of survivor benefits that might go along there, or just identification for a fact of life.
And also, when you renew your driver's license,
absolutely,
you have it when you renew your driver's license, because it says on my driver's license, veteran.
Absolutely. So you should take your DD-214 up to the driver's license bureau, and you got to go anyway right now because everybody needs to get that star on their driver's license.
Right.
Sure, your DD-214 goes with you, and show it to them. And if you have an honorable discharge, you will get veteran on your driver's license. Now, if you do it during the normal renewal cycle for your driver's license, there's no charge. If you want it on there and you're out of cycle, in other words, outside of your regular cycle, there's about a $10 charge for that. Well worth it.
Nominal, absolutely.
You go to a restaurant, you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, and there's just a whole bunch of organizations out there that will provide you a 10% discount, and it's well worth the time and effort, and you feel proud because someone's going to say, "Oh, you were a veteran? Thank you." And I always say it's my honor to serve this country. So it's a good deal.
I have a habit when I shop anywhere in the grocery stores or, like you say, at Home Depot, Costco, whatever. If I see a veteran wearing a cap, I will go out of my way to go down that aisle and stop them and shake their hand, thank them for their service.
Absolutely.
I also do that with our first responders, our firefighters, and our police also. But take it a step further. If he's wearing a Vietnam veteran cap, I know I can say "Welcome home, brother."
Absolutely.
Because that was our chosen slogan after Vietnam, was to never forget our brothers. And it just makes you feel good when somebody says. And my wife and I will, if we go to a theater or a sporting event and we see someone wearing a veteran cap, take the time to thank them for their service, because sometimes we forget to, and we're here and enjoy the freedoms that we have because of our veterans.
Absolutely. So you just can't thank people, whether they're first responders or veterans, for all of the work they've done to keep us going and keep us alive and keep us safe.
Right. Now, only 6 years old and all, but where does your funding come from?
Well, that's a good question. So, again, we are a 6-year-old agency, 501c3 nonprofit. Our overhead is extremely small since we're all volunteers. So we do have overhead to pay for the rent and that sort of thing. And we do rent from Collin County.
Okay.
So we do a few things. Number one, we have a golf tournament that's coming up. And that golf tournament, the primary focus of the golf tournament is to get our community leaders and veterans to play golf with each other. Our constant goal is to connect veterans with community leaders with the goal to lift them up, to develop relationships, camaraderie, share stories back and forth,
Right.
and also maybe get a job. Jobs are extremely hard to find. You can find a $10 an hour job immediately, but to get a living wage job or better, it is a tough thing to do in this economy we have. So we do try to do that. Our next golf tournament is coming up here on the 1st of May. It's going to be at Heritage Ranch in Fairview. This will be our 4th year in a row that we've done this, and it proves out to be very satisfying for our players, for our sponsors, and it generates some revenue for us to help us pay our rent in operations for a year.
And if you don't play golf, as I don't, there are ways that you can get involved and help out, volunteer, helping to register people, or you can become a sponsor.
Absolutely.
And this is not one of those $50,000 sponsorships. You can sponsor for as little as $200. So if you're a business owner and you say, you know what, I don't play golf, right? I used to and I can't anymore, but I'd like to support this golf outing, you can become a bronze sponsor for $200.
Absolutely.
And there's all kinds of categories. But I understand about bringing the veterans and, try and get some of your government people to be involved and play golf with them, because it's that interaction of government people with government people that could lead to an opportunity for one of our veterans.
Absolutely. And we really strive to get our veterans in a good, stable position. Our program is really based around one thing, and that's to provide benefits, services, information, and direct support to help the veteran and their family to move up in the world and be stable and be self-sufficient. Our goal, a lot of organizations will do like an immediate handout, if you will, to help on a situation, and that's nice. But if you don't know what's really causing that situation, that can become a month-over-month issue. And we strive to break that chain. We strive to ensure that our veterans and their families have the right job, have the right financial maturity, because a lot of people have enough money, they just don't know how to manage it correctly.
Right.
Learn to pay their bills on time and not wait until the end and then get late penalties, which is just money down the drain.
Exactly.
And go forward. A lot of social responsibilities. We've found a few things that have really, what we think is driven our community. One, some of our veterans have low self-esteem. They just think there's no love in the community. Absolutely wrong. We try to help them ensure that they know that our community loves their support, service, and personalities, and we'll help them get tuned up so they can get a job. That $10 an hour job is not going to make it.
That's right.
The living wage in Collin County is $27.50
Two $10 jobs is not going to make it either,
No,
because sometimes
no.
working two jobs or three.
That's right. And so, people say, well, he was just in the Army. Well, our veterans are loyal. They are very dedicated. They can do jobs. They have skills that translate right into our community here. So we interface with the community, help them get jobs, get the training and education if needed, so they can go forward.
You do great work.
Well, thank you so much.
You really do. And there are, I said to you before the show went on too, from a veteran's point of view, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of veterans organizations out there. And it can be depressing to a certain degree for a veteran who is saying, I need help, but I don't know where to go. You call the Veterans Administration, they give you another number. They shuffle you off to another department, or so you go someplace else. Calling an organization like yours is a clearinghouse.
Absolutely.
It's the ability for you and your staff to say, okay, I don't have an answer right off the top of my head, but I'm going to get you an answer. And for that veteran to say, okay, fine, now I don't have to keep running all over town, knocking on doors or, seeing closed, come back tomorrow. They need help. They need help now, and they want answers now. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when I call organizations and everything, and you get recorded messages. And for this, press 1, and for this, press 2, and for this, press 3. And then finally it's, or press 0 for an operator, and you get a recording that says, leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. People need answers now. And I probably correct in saying if they call your organization, they're going to get a human being to answer the phone.
Absolutely.
And probably it's going to be you.
Well, it could be. So we are open from 9 to 4:30 every day. So if you call on the weekends, you're going to get an answering machine.
Okay.
But Monday morning, first thing we're doing, and every morning we're checking our messages and get back. We are a face-to-face organization. So if someone calls and they're looking for what's the address of the VA? What's the address of or phone number for the Veteran Service Officer or something like that? We'll talk to them on the phone. But otherwise, we like to meet face-to-face. We'll do a detailed intake. Excellent. And when we find out what the root cause of their issues are, we have an agreement that we sign together. We are going to hold your hand. We are going to get you to the right place. We're going to set up appointments for you. You're going to, if you agree to it, we're going to follow you to those appointments. Be sure that you actually go. Be sure that you're happy with the service you're getting, and then continue to work with people. Our average client handhold is 6 months. So when we develop a relationship, we are working with that veteran and their family for a minimum of 6 months, trying to straighten out whatever might be going on there. And then 6 months after the last handshake, if you will,
right,
we call them again. How you doing, Sergeant Jones?
Follow up. That's important.
And sometimes they'll say, well, why are you calling? Well, we just, we loved you then. We loved you now. And we want to continue to hold your hand if needed. Well, I had a little problem. Fine. Come back and see us. We want to continue to help you. Or they might say, I've got this fantastic job. My family life is good and so on. We say, good on you. If you need anything else, you call us. We are here every day, Monday through Friday. Now, an interesting thing, a lot of people say, well, so you're dealing with the young folks. We deal with a lot of young folks, but the average age of our client is age 57.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and that shocks me every time I say that.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable. We have folks, Vietnam era, that and Korea, and a few World War II, that are just experiencing life situations. Vietnam guys are trying to retire, and some of them just never developed the ability to do that. And when you are,
or they kind of age out of what they were doing, and now they're floundering and saying, I'm not ready to retire. I can't afford to retire, but the company I was with let me go.
Absolutely.
And I have this skill set. And, you go to these other companies, and the other companies look at these people that are 50 in their 50s and 60s. Well, it's to their benefit to look at and hire the 20 and 30-year-olds for a career. That may not be necessarily the case, and all. That's why it's a matter of having a resource to hook you up to the right people, to talk to the right people, because very often I'm finding in my travels that there are a lot of corporations that are really looking for senior citizens. Why? Because they've got the experience. They've got the grassroots, gravel road experience, not the learned experience on the computers. And sometimes that is as valuable, if not more valuable, for a corporation.
Absolutely. So we see a tremendous amount of people in their early 50s. They walk in the door. They're just great employees. They've been let go because the position's been eliminated for some reason. And then we look back and find that a younger person has taken that job. So it is tough to get a job for those people, and we work hard to find all folks jobs, especially our senior folks.
Well, folks, if what we have been talking about this morning has struck a chord with you, go on the website. There is a donate button, and I can speak for Paul as I have in the past. You can make a $5 or $10 donation, a $20 donation, a one-time, a regular donation. if you can. But if you feel that what Paul and his staff are doing is right and it's beneficial for our veterans, a few bucks in their pocket would really help. And if you're a golfer, get involved in this golfing opportunity on May 1st. Sounds like a great time. It's a good time of the year because
it's beautiful.
Because it's probably the perfect time of the year to play golf. The courses are all fresh and ready to go, and just the idea of interacting with other veterans. Is it a shotgun start?
It's a shotgun start.
Okay.
We'll have about 150 players. So
Okay.
all the holes will be loaded up. There'll be about 200 people there. It's just part of the tournament. It's a great opportunity.
All right, and if people say, well, do you need any extra help there, with passing out drinks and stuff like that?
We can always use volunteers.
Excellent.
Just give us a call, 214-600-2966. We are ready to accept your volunteer time and looking forward to getting to know you.
Yeah, and you're conveniently located. Like you say, you serve all of those counties. So mention those counties again. So if the people are living in those counties, they might say, you know what, I got 4 hours a week to donate.
So we serve Collin, Grayson, Cook, Hunt, Fannin, Rockwall, and Kaufman counties.
Okay.
So, and we have three things we're always interested in. Number one, our first and only focus is serving veterans. So if you live in those areas and you're a veteran, we'd love to talk with you. Second, we're always looking for volunteers, someone that is dedicated to helping another human being. 4 hours a week, please volunteer with us. And the third thing, we're constantly looking for additional service providers. We are connected at the hip with almost 200 service providers today. So if we can't help you direct, we know well over 150 providers that we can connect with to provide that direct service, so there's no false knocking on the doors. We'll get the service that the veteran needs or the family needs to go forward.
If you are a professional person, you're a doctor, you're an attorney, you're an accountant, and you say, I'm a veteran too, and I would be willing to do something, maybe at a reduced fee for veterans and all. Can they contact you and say, put me on your list?
Absolutely. We are especially needy of legal assistance. Legal assistance is hard to find.
And very often the veterans will need that.
Oh yeah,
because it could be for housing or through some kind of an unfortunate accident, and they need some assistance in litigation.
Tremendous amount of social issues are just like civilians. Just a tremendous amount of social issues. So we can certainly use the help.
That's great. It is great. And donations, as I say, they're important, and keep that in mind. What do you see with only 6 years behind you? What do you see as over the next 5 years and 10 years for our veterans and the issues that they have and the help that they can get through organizations like yours? Well,
the biggest thing that we see now is an aging veteran population. So our Vietnam veterans are not young anymore. And right behind that, we're starting to see Desert Storm folks that are trying to get towards retirement.
Right.
So preparing to retire and getting the right medical and health attention during retirement is a big deal. So we see a constant trend for that.
Well, and for you also, you've got to have a constant eye on the updated regulations and issues and things that are available for those veterans, because what was available 10 years ago may not be available now, or it's been upgraded or changed.
Well, one of the good things is the VA is doing more and more and more capabilities in their health services. So it's really good, and you're right. It's sometimes it's difficult. Someone will say, hey, I heard about a new program, and we'll say, we haven't heard about that yet. Fortunately, we have a good direct hotline to the VA to get updated on what's going on there. So that's a big trend.
Outstanding. Well, it's hard to believe the whole hour has gone by, but we've covered a lot of territory. And for those that are listening, if you are a veteran, if you have a veteran in your family, if your next door neighbor is a veteran and all, and you think that there may be some opportunities for them to seek some additional information, have them call the Veterans Center of North Texas. Have them contact Paul Hendricks or anybody on his staff. And better yet, go to veteranscenterofnorthtexas.org. All of that information is there, a myriad of information to have. Paul, I can't thank you enough for being with us this morning.
Well, thank you for this great opportunity.
And you go out and make it a great weekend, and join us again next week for another edition of Someone You Should Know.